Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, and on Tuesdays we talk about music and the arts. And as regular listeners already know, we're dealing with oceans as the main theme for the Dr. J Vlog series this week. And we're going to be examining that topic from 7 different angles. Today, then, we're looking at oceans as a theme in popular music. Now, I'm not talking about TikTok or that sea shanty craze from a few years ago, that sort of thing, but rather popular songs that focus on the ocean, either as the lyrical centerpiece or perhaps where the ocean figures prominently for symbolic or other reasons. On the lighter side, I suppose we should start with the Beach Boys, with the Wilson brothers, and especially the genius of all geniuses, Brian Wilson. And along with Mike Love and Al Jardine, they were the core. They pioneered the California sound in the early 1960s and then had their first national hit with Surfin' USA. The song was recorded on January 5th of 1963, released on March 4th, and then eventually peaked at number 3 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 in Canada. I've always associated the Beach Boys with surf music and the beaches and the oceans, that sort of thing, including their last big hit, I guess, which was Kokomo from 1988. But of course, they were much, much more than that, especially with the release of their iconic Pet Sounds album in 1966, which is much more musically adventurous and complex. And it also features one of Paul McCartney's all-time favorite songs, God Only Knows. And believe it or not, that was controversial back in the day. Radio stations, not all of them would play it because they used the word God, and that was considered to be blasphemous. Go figure. And then the Beatles, of course, themselves had a couple of ocean songs, both sung by Ringo, Yellow Submarine and Octopus's Garden. And the latter was actually written by Ringo himself, Richard Starkey. And speaking of quirky, I'd like to mention another song. If you haven't heard this previously, if you're familiar with the group Ween, W-E-E-N, and their song Ocean Man. So if you want to hear an ocean song and just sort of tap your feet along right away and smile throughout the entire song, check out Ween's Ocean Man. For a very different sound, there's Led Zeppelin's song The Ocean from their 1973 album, Houses of the Holy. It features the unusual alternating combination of one bar of 4/4 rhythm and then one in 7/8 time and back and forth. And it's just an awesome hard rock song. I remember vividly listening to the album in my brother's basement. I'd be lying on the floor on the shag carpet, and I was just blown away by what I was hearing. And now the ocean in the song, as I came to learn much later, referred to the sea of people that Robert Plant was imagining singing to. So Robert Plant, of course, being the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. And so he was imagining seeing these people in front of him during live performances. And so it contains, for example, this classic line, singing to an ocean. I can hear the ocean's roar. So again, the audience and so forth. And then we have Pearl Jam's song, Oceans. Lovely song. It's really a metaphor for the shifting tides of an intimate relationship. And so if you haven't checked out Pearl Jam previously, or at least their song Oceans, check it out. And by the way, they also have another song simply called Whale Song. And as you might expect, it's a direct tribute to these great, gentle mammals. A very different genre, excuse me, but a related theme would be the Sea of Love. Originally a number 1 hit for Phil Phillips and George Curry. This was back in 1959. And it was re-recorded by the Honey Drippers in 1984 and peaked at number 3, second time around. Robert Plant from the aforementioned Led Zeppelin was the lead singer in that particular remake. And the song's been covered by a number of other artists as well. So, and then there are a lot of other lighter hits in popular music and culture that deal with the ocean or the sea, Too Many Fish in the Sea, that sort of thing, but from, mostly from a kind of sunshine perspective or summer enjoyment and that sort of thing. All the surfing songs that you can think of, The Drifters' Under the Boardwalk comes to mind. There's the song from the mid-70s by First Class, a one-hit wonder called Beach Baby. Remember that one? To Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. And let's not forget, let's go a slightly different direction, Caribbean Queen by the aptly named Billy Ocean. Remember that one? She's simply awesome. Anyway, with all that said, now what I'm going to do is count down my top 10 list for my favorite songs that deal either directly or indirectly with the oceans as a central theme or metaphor. So I'm going to briefly describe each of the songs, leave a link in the description below. And again, this is not meant to be the top 10 songs of all time about the ocean. It's really just my personal list, drawn from my own background and experience and upbringing and memories. And so if you have a fave that I don't mention or didn't mention in this video, please feel free to share in the comments below. And as ever, make sure you smash like and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps. Okay, so coming in at number 10, Fisherman's Son by the Rankin family. Any of you are going, who? What? No, this isn't one of the great fishing songs or the great ocean songs of all time. It's just a personal fave of mine because the Rankin family, they're one of many East Coast bands in Canada, from Nova Scotia in this case, and they released an album called Fare Thee Well in 1990. And that was the same year I got married in Canada, and I made the decision to come here and move to Canada permanently. And so I heard the song Fisherman's Son just on some obscure radio station or late at night or something, as I recall. And I remember being quite taken by their kind of, folksy maritime sound and the theme of the song. And I actually went out like the next day or something, very soon thereafter, and I bought the CD. I wanted to see what they were all about. And as simple as the song as it is, I was just drawn in by the very first verses where they're saying, and I'll just give you a little bit of the taste of it. I'm a fisherman's son, got fisherman's ways. I fished with my father, and in my young days, I learned the fine craft of the fisherman's trade, just to pass to my son, so he'll do the same. The sea is my lifeline, the shore is my home. I've been to your cities, I didn't stay long. I stared at the bright lights, the dark city ways. I tell you, that's not for me. No, I couldn't stay. Okay, so I just fell in love with that song and the Rankin family, and so that's one of my little quirky ticks, if you will. And so they're coming in at number 10 for my list. I'll leave, again, all the links for each of the songs so that you can look at them yourselves on YouTube if you're interested. All right, and at number 9 is Fisherman's Blues by the Waterboys. It's also a folk-inspired song, but quite a different song from the Rankin family. It's about life by the sea. It also references this, riding this fever train into the heartland. So it's a pretty cool juxtaposition in the second verse. But the main theme seems to be about, breaking free from the bonds that bind one and hold one down, and finding freedom and enlightenment with the love of one's life. So yeah, it's a really cool song. I quite enjoy it. Again, it's a little bit different and a little bit off the beaten trail, but check it out if you're interested. At number 8, I have Jack Johnson's Only the Ocean. It's a song about finding the ultimate sort of peace and serenity by the ocean. To me, it's kind of the ultimate ocean chill song, if you will. So Johnson sings, "You don't love, but you don't hate. You just roll right over me and you pull me in." Again, speaking of the ocean. So yeah, have a listen. Again, the link's in the description below. All right, then at number 7, I got to confess, this one's a bit of a cheat. It really doesn't belong here. It's a bit of but it's a song by Blue Rodeo, and it's called Hasn't Hit Me Yet. It's another band that I also happened to discover when I came to Canada, and my future wife pushed in the cassette in the cassette player in her 300ZX, and their music came on. And he just went, whoa, who are these guys? I really like them. So yeah, Blue Rodeo was one of the first groups that I was introduced to when I came to Canada. I actually did an analysis video of their peak performance, a live performance that they did on Conan of that particular song. But I'm going to leave the link to the original, their music video, which is actually a really cool video too. So I'll leave that in the description below. So why is this cheating though? Well, it's really mainly a breakup song, to be honest with you. And it doesn't really even get to the ocean part. In fact, it's not even really an ocean. that they reference until the very end of the song. They actually make a reference to the lake, Lake Ontario. Here's the actual lyrics. So, hey, hey, I guess it hasn't hit me yet. I fell through this crack and I kind of lost my head. I stand transfixed before the street light, watching the snowfall on this cold December night. And down in the middle of Lake Ontario, the same snow is falling, on the deep silent water, the great dark wonder, into the waves of my heart, of my heart. Yeah, so I pretty much do this song every time I play a live gig, and it's in actually one of my sort of personal favorites, or all-time song list, if you will. I've never done this before, but if I were to compile a top 25 or a top 50 list or whatever, I definitely include that one among them. All right, then at number 6, we have The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. Yes, it's a literal description and depiction of that fateful event. I'm sure most of you have heard about it or know the song, etc. But the Great Lakes freighter, actually, again, called the Edmund Fitzgerald, it sank in Lake Superior on November 10th of 1975. And so the ship went down, and of course, the entire crew of 29 men perished as well. And Lightfoot read about the disaster and then was inspired, of course, to pen this masterful song, which he ended up releasing then in August of 1976. And yes, it went to number 1 in Canada, and it went to number 2 in the U.S., on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. But you know what song kept it out of the number 1 spot? A song I, quite dislike, to be honest with you. It's Rod Stewart's Tonight's the Night. I like Rod Stewart, don't get me wrong, but that particular song, I never really enjoyed that one so much. Anyway, I don't need to recount the whole story of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I'm sure most of you know the song, and it's so vivid and direct lyrically, so there's nothing hidden there, but it's also quite powerful melodically and rhythmically, and in terms of the song's overall production quality. It's really a standout, I think, for its time. I often play the song live as well, since most of the older folks I know up here love the late, great Gordon Lightfoot, and they'll often sing along with me. So again, I'll leave a link to the video below. At number 5, okay, so now we have my top 5, if you will. So at number 5, it's Billy Joel's Downeaster Alexa. That tells the story of the decline of the fishing industry off of the New England coast, but Billy Joel references the fishermen leaving, in this case, from New York's Block Island Sound. Billy Joel's a New Yorker. But the feel of the song draws you in immediately, as you feel like you're actually riding on the waves of the ocean on some kind of a fishing vessel or trawler. And it's just truly mesmerizing. But of course, Billy's also a remarkable lyricist and storyteller. And so here are some of the lyrics that paint a pretty vivid picture of what it's like trying to make a living off of the overfished waters. So again, these are from Downeaster Alexa. Like all the locals here, I've had to sell my home. Too proud to leave, I worked my fingers to the bone so I could own my Downeaster Alexa. It's his boat. And I go where the ocean is deep. By the way, Alexa's the name of his daughter. There are giants out there in the canyons, and a good captain can't fall asleep. I got bills to pay and children who need clothes. I know there's fish out there, but where God only knows. They say these waters aren't what they used to be, but I got people back on land who count on me. And so on. So yeah, and by the way, the song was also released in 1989, which was just off the album Stormfront, and that was just 3 years before the cod fishing industry collapsed here in Canada, resulting in a moratorium or a ban on cod fishing off the east coast of Newfoundland and Labrador. And that moratorium directly affected about 30,000 people. And so a great many people then lost their livelihoods, they had generations of family fishermen, and that was gone essentially forever, almost. But guess what? It's incredible that just less than a year ago, in fact, on June 26th of 2024, the government of Canada finally lifted the ban to announce the historic return of the commercial northern cod fishery in Newfoundland and Labrador. So, and remember the theme from this year World's Ocean Day. I talked about this on Sunday. Sustainable fishing means more. And that's truly one of our greatest challenges as humans. That is figuring out how to look ahead and not just what we've always done, but how to think about solutions that solve longer term problems instead of just, ignoring them and hoping the problem will go away, that sort of thing. Okay, but that's another story for another day. At number 4, I've got Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. It's just one of those dreamy classics, in my view. It's both incredibly poetic and almost spiritual in the ways that Van Morrison connects us with the sea. The song opens with, "We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Ere the bonny boat was won, as we sailed into the mystic. Hark now, hear the sailors cry, smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic." So it's a pretty cool song, a gentle song, and it's got a really lovely chordal progression too. There's this transition about a minute into the song. It gets me every time. It comes back a couple of more times, but check it out when you have a moment. Again, I'll leave the link below. I did try this initially with some of the songs, but I had copyright infringement problems, so I can't show you the songs or give you clips of them. Hence, you're getting the description. So frustrating with these copyright issues. But anyway. Okay, then at number 3, we have Southern Cross by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. It's from their 1983 album, Daylight Again. I had the privilege of seeing them at the Merriweather Post Pavilion shortly after the album was released. I loved watching Stephen Stills and his guitar work up close, his musicianship, that was incredible. And I loved hearing the CSN Classic Harmonies live. So that was truly a great evening. One of the best concerts I've ever been to. So the song that I've referenced here is Southern Cross. It's a song about being on the sea and the beauty and the splendor involved and the amazement at seeing the Southern Cross, that constellation in the sky for the first time. And as they sing in the song, because when you see the Southern Cross for the first time, you understand now why you came this way. Because the truth you might be running from is so small, but it's as big as the promise of a coming day. So I'm sailing for tomorrow, my dreams are a-dying, and my love is an anchor tied to you, tied with a silver chain. I have my ship, and all her flags are a-flying. She's all that I have left, and music is her name. So yeah, it's obviously about being on more than just the sea. It's also about, what's left, especially after, you've lost everything or lost perhaps the love of your life. And here's the last verse, which gets me every time. So we cheated and we lied and we tested, and we never failed to fail. It was the easiest thing to do. You will survive being bested, and somebody fine will come along, make me forget about loving you at the Southern Cross. All right, 2 left. So now we're at number 2. Number 2, who I haven't heard from, and I associate with the sea and the oceans all the time, Jimmy Buffett. And he has a few songs, but the one I like, or for me, it's A Pirate Looks at 40. I just love this song. It starts with the lyrics, "Mother, Mother Ocean, I have heard your call. Wanted to sail upon your waters since I was 3 feet tall. You've seen it all. You've seen it all." And then the next verse, "Watch the men who rowed you switch from sails to steam. And in your belly you hold the treasure that few have ever seen. Most of them dreams, most of them dreams." So it's a great song. It has 7 or 8 verses as such, and it's really, again, it's the lament of the man who's looking back on his life and the passage of time and how things have changed and how there's a line later in the song where he says, "Yes, I am a pirate, but I was born 200 years too late." So he's feeling sort of out of place, both generationally or chronologically, and in terms of where his life has gone. So it's a bittersweet lament, if you will, of a pirate looking back, or a pirate looks at 40. I laugh now too because that's at 40. I'm in my 60s, and it's so funny. As we get older, we think 30. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how old I am. I can't believe I'm already 30. And then it's 40. I can't believe I'm in my 40s, looking back on life and what's happened. Where's it all gone? Then our 50s. And now I'm in my 60s, and I just keep chuckling along as we move through each decade, as it were. But I love it. Every decade is a new chapter, is a new set of experiences. So anyway, but yeah, check it out. Okay, so we've arrived at number 1. But before we do that, a few honorable mentions, okay? So just like Mojo, right? So I remember, for one honorable mention, Brandy by the group Looking Glass. Do you remember that one? Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. I just remember singing along with that song on the radio when it would come on. It was just such an up-tempo, lively song, and with very clear lyrics. And it was telling this story about, this guy telling stories, etc., telling his sailor stories. So yeah, I remember, I love that one when I hear that one come out. I've always quite liked the song Come Sail Away by Styx from 1977. Especially they have this guitar pickup at the very end, toward the end of the song, where it feels like you're actually being transported, this come sail away notion. Also, I have to give an honorable mention to the multi-Grammy winner, Christopher Cross. Maybe you know where I'm going with this one, for his soft rock classic titled Sailing, which reached number 1 in the summer after I graduated from high school. So it peaked at number 1 or it hit number 1, I should say, for a week on August 1st of 1980. All right, so drum roll. My number 1 song is by Dan Fogelberg, and it's called The Reach. Yes, this is an obviously biased choice, because some of you will know that Fogelberg's my all-time personal favorite as a musical artist, I should say. He's my musical muse, I've said on multiple occasions. He's the musician who has influenced and inspired my music more than anyone else, even more than the Beatles and Elton John and Billy Joel and you name it. But at the same time, it's not a particularly well-known song. And actually, even Fogelberg himself's not the best-known artist. He's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or anything like that. But this particular song, The Reach, is almost certainly not known to you if you're not a Fogelberg fan. He never released it as a single, and it appears as the last song on side 3 of his amazing album, the 1981 double album called The Innocent Age. And this is an album about which I've said that if I could, that proverbial hypothetical, if you could only take one album or listen to one song, but here's the hypothetical. If you could only take one album with you to a deserted island and surrounded, by the ocean, no way off it, and that's all you could listen to for the rest of your life, what album would you choose? Of course, the first problem would be, where are you going to get the hydro? Where are you going to get the power to plug it in? But all right, setting that problem aside, the one album that I would pick would have been The Innocent Age. All right, so that's how strong I feel about this. But this particular song, The Reach, is my favorite ocean song. It's, excuse me, it's one of the ultimate songs, if you will, about life's struggles, our ups and downs, and how no one ever expected this to be pure joy, right? And sunshine and puppy dogs and rainbows, etc., all the time. And that life couldn't just be easily and automatically conquered per se, whatever that might mean. Yes, and in the song you'll see this as well. There's beauty all around, all of the time, no matter what the season, no matter what the weather conditions. But at the same time, there's work to be done. It's not always easy. And sometimes we have these incredibly hard tasks that we have to do under the most difficult of circumstances, but we have no choice. And then quite often, we also then end up having to team up with others in order to get these truly difficult things done, really to survive. And in fact, while we're obviously not on the ocean ourselves, if you just look around you, almost everything that you've touched and that you've used today in your everyday life, and pretty much everything that you've worn and eaten and so on, was made by others. So we're all the beneficiaries of their efforts, the efforts of countless other unnamed, anonymous souls in our lives who gave their time and energy, and perhaps even their lives in some instances, so that we could enjoy the life that we lead. So I don't take that for granted at all. I'll have much more to say about these themes later on, but I wanted you to enjoy a bit of the Fogelberg song, The Reach, but again, this is part of what got blocked when I did this video the first time around. So I'll just have to leave the link below. I do want to do an analysis video, so I'll have to figure out how to get permission to do that. But I'll just leave you with this thought, which occurs, about halfway through the song. where Fogelberg sings, "I will take from the reach all that she has to teach to the depths of my soul." So yeah, it's an amazing song. I hope you get a chance to listen to it, or again, click on it below. And until next we meet, as ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. And I hope to see you soon.